Alright boys, I just wanted to make a quick video here to compare some of my Pro Stock sticks to my Pro Stock sticks. And you can't see it, but I just gave a little wink when I said Pro Stock sticks there, so pretend you saw that. Now let's get into the video. First up here, one of everybody's favorite players, Mr. Showtime, Patrick Kane. He's got a custom curve, like a flatter P10, and it also has a nicer blade shape. But the curve's not the problem. I don't really like some of his other specs here. He's got the 95 flex, a little bit stiff in my opinion. Great call on the full tactile grip, aka the basketball grip. He's got the square shaft. We all know he loved the Total 1 build. This thing's about 375 grams. He's using a 2S Pro XL build now. But he has that non-grip gloss, which I'm really not a fan of. So now I'm going to tell you what I'd change about this stick. Like, say if I had a hockey stick company where you could order whatever you want with players' pro curves. Oh, well, actually, I do. Look at this. We've got the Kaner 88 here where we dropped the flex down to 77. And it has Patrick Kane's actual pro curve on there. I used the Kane stick on the left to make the mold, so it's identical in every single way. So the curve is the same, but everything else is better, in my opinion. Dropped the flex lower so it's more usable for a variety of players. Kept that nice basketball grip, but we added grip so it's not non-grip gloss anymore. And we kept that XL weight, about 375 grams. So the goal here was really keep the good parts of these players' sticks, like Patrick Kane's curve and the shaft shape, but get rid of the bad parts. Add the grip instead of the non-grip. Make the flex lighter instead of too stiff. So if I had this Patrick Kane stick, I could make the 95 flex work. The non-grip gloss, I wouldn't really love it, but I could probably make it work. The one thing I can't really do is use a left-handed stick, considering I'm a right-handed player. Thankfully, we make all of these sticks in both left and right hand, so if you've always wanted to try Patrick Kane's specs in right hand, you can do it now today at ProStockHockeySticks.com. And also better flexes, better grip options, basically making all your dreams come true. Next up, we've got one of the biggest stick guys in the league. There's really no surprise here that these are some of the best specs I've ever seen. First off, the curve's like a flat P92 with a toe kink, and it also has like a P28 style blade shape. Just like a perfect curve. This is easily one of my favorite curves that we offer right now. Aside from the curve, unlike Kane here, the stick gets even better when we start looking at the specs. So he's got the Vapor 80V build, so it's about 350 grams. He's got the 82 flex, grip with no texture, and he has the Vapor shaft, so it's more of a rounded shaft. The old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I completely agree with that in this case. Perfect specs. We have it in a range of flexes from 70, 77 to 85. And the other specs are pretty much exactly what Kuzi uses. So this is our super lightweight stick. It has the red chrome stripe there, meaning it's our lightest possible stick. It's the comparable to the ADV builds, 350 grams. We've got the super round shaft on these, which feels absolutely incredible. That's our closest thing to the Vapor, again with that rounded feel, but this is even more round than the Vapor, and I think it feels even better in hand. You really have to experience this one for yourself. It's not really like anything else at retail. We also stuck with the standard grip, no texture, and then the curve here you can see. I think it'll work better for me in right-handed personally, but curve is identical. This is the stick we use to make the mold, and we have those in left and right hand. Next up, we've got a big dog, maybe a whale you could say. We've got the OVNXG, one of his best sticks, in my opinion, one of my favorite sticks he's used with that G3 build, so that just means that it has the 12K shaft with the 3K blade. Lots of players have used this. Stamkos, Kucherov still use it, Ovi loved it, Taves used it, to name a few guys, and it's just a stronger build, more heavy duty for big shooters. It also holds the flex a bit better over time. Obviously famous Ovi Pro curve here, paper thin blade, big spoon curve. If you haven't seen my curve review, go watch that now. Ovi's a tasteful guy. He's always had really good specs. We got the square shaft, G3 build like I said, 87 flex, grip with no texture. So if I were to change anything about these sticks, it would just be the rarity. It would be how difficult these are to find. You can see I have a nice stockpile of Ovi sticks here, but I still don't want to use them. Mainly because if someone were to slash one of these and break it while I was using it, I'd probably be going to prison. Like, after how hard it is to find these, if someone were to break one like that, it would just be like cold-blooded murder is the only answer here. So if you're like me and you want to stay out of prison, here's your answer right here. It's identical to the stick that Ovi uses, but you don't have to feel bad about using it. We start things off obviously with that G63 build, which is our equivalent of Bauer's G3 Pro build. The curve, like looking in a mirror. If these sticks didn't have graphics, I don't think I could tell them apart at all. We've got the same flex. We also have these in 77. Square shaft, grip with no texture, basically an identical Ovi stick. But, you can actually use this. Ovi's CCM sticks are completely different from the Bauer's, and we're going to use the AS3 to compare. The curve is one thing that doesn't change. He hasn't changed it for years, but the build is totally different. You can see it's the 18K weave, which is a much higher performing build. That's on like all the top of the line sticks on the market today. His AS3 graphic sticks are different from the triggers because the triggers are actually like 440 grams. They're really heavy, but these AS3s are light. They're like 375 grams. So this is more comparable to the sticks that we're selling, specifically our Redline model. A couple other changes he made with CCM. He added that basketball grip, which was a great call. He kept the same shaft, so the CCM T shaft, it's the same square shaft that he used with Bauer. And he also bumped his flex up to 100, and I don't like that. That was a bad call in my opinion. I mean, it works for him, it got him a cup, but for me buying his Pro Stock sticks, I'm not really happy about that. No need to worry, we made this exact same stick with 70 flex. And you can see it has the basketball grip just like Ovi CCM. It's got that 18K weave, the high performing, lightweight build, and of course the square shaft. I guess if you're left-handed, this would also be important too, to have the curve in left. Next up, one of my favorite players, even though he abandoned us here in Winnipeg, Patrik Laine. I mean, I don't blame him. If I could get out of Winnipeg, I probably would too. This stick is a totally custom build, so he's always got these test codes on here, and it's a really heavy stick. It's about 475 grams at full height, including the extension. He also uses a square shaft, and he uses grip with no texture. The curve, again, a pretty perfect curve, I would say. One of my favorites. If you haven't seen my review on this, definitely go watch that. Just look at that blade shape. That is almost a perfect blade shape, I would say. He has really good specs. I like his sticks a lot, except I would change a couple things. If you're a lefty, I mean, this is, again, an important factor to have it in left-handed. We're not touching that curve. That thing is perfect. Perfect blade shape. Everything's good there. I like the square shaft, and I like the extended height. Grip with no texture, I like that. The only thing I'm really changing here is the flex from 87 down to 77, or even a 70. The other thing I would change is the build of this stick. I'd like to make it lighter weight, so this blue line build here is about 390, 400 grams at full height, versus Laine sticks, which are about 475. So a huge weight difference there, and a huge difference in performance. Sticking with the pure snipers here, we got a Kovalchuk stick. This is one of his older sticks from about 2012, before he changed his curve. F code on the Easton there, we've got about 100 flex, and at the same time, we're going to look at his newer sticks here. This is one of his cap sticks. So most of his shaft specs stayed the same. You can see he has the square shaft, 265 on the Warrior, that's going to be about 100 flex again. And if we look up close here, you can see on the reflection that he's using non-grip gloss, which kind of sucks, but he's got that texture, which we call the Model E Kevlar. It's like that classic Easton feeling texture. You can really see it in the reflection here. He's always had that on all of his sticks. He's got the square shaft, like we said, 100 flex, and he uses a heavier build, about 418 grams here. This is one customization he makes himself, which I really like. Major stick guy move here, shaving down the top handle to be more rounded. So it's a square shaft, but then it tapers off and it's more round at the top. Another unique thing is he uses a really old build, so you can kind of see it here. Blade's a bit dirty, but it's a 3K weave throughout the whole stick, and the shaft is painted, so you can't really see the weave, but it is 3K throughout the entire thing. So comparing it to one of his older sticks, this is almost the same as his Warriors from the time. This Easton he used for like one shift, one time, but it has the same square shaft. It has that same texture. It's non-grip, but it's non-grip matte, not non-grip gloss. And then the F code on the sticker there tells us it's about 100 flex, and it's also coming in at about 400, 420 grams. The only thing he really changed was the curve. So on the left we have his older curve, and on the right we have his newer curve. He switched during that cup run with the Devils right before he retired that first time. We also have both versions. The IK is the one on the left there, the smaller curve, and the Kovi is the newer, bigger curve on the right side. Side by side, that's old versus old, and then this is new versus new. I made this stick for myself to use, which is an exact replica of Kobe's stick, and it has that 3K build throughout. So it's an older build, and it feels identical to Kovalchuk's stick. But for the ones that are actually in inventory, I changed them up a bit so they're more high performing and more in line with the top of the line sticks today. So you can see right away, we've got the 18K Redline build there, so that's going to be lighter weight and better performing. We kept all the good parts here again, so we kept that Model E Kevlar texture, but I don't like the non-grip gloss. It's too slippery, so we throw on a coat of grip over top of that. I always loved Kobe's sticks, but they were too stiff, so we've got them in 70, 77, and 85. Of course, we have the square shaft, but we did this customization to the mold where the top part's rounded off and tapered just like Kobe does to his own sticks. Next up, very rare here, a defenseman with good specs. We've got Jared Spurgeon. I don't love his specs. Fishbone grip, square shaft, I know a lot of people love that. Not really my thing. And he uses about an 80 flex. So good curve and flex choice in my opinion. Grip and shaft shape could probably benefit from a little bit of tweaking. The curve is sick. I'll do a review on this one this year. It's like a P92 with a huge hook at the toe. So like a bigger bend. So before I show you our version of the stick, let's talk about this name bar. So we got Spurgeon on here, and I don't like to use the player's last name. I like to use a nickname. So when I was filling out this order, I was like firing through all the name bars. They're coming so easy, you know, Ovi, Kuzi, Patty, so easy. Then we get to Spurgeon, and I'm like, what's a good nickname for that? And I tried like Spurge, and I thought, you know, that doesn't have a good ring to it. Don't like that at all. So then I was like, what about his first name? Like, let's throw Jared on there. And then I'm like, you know, Jared. Then I start thinking like Subway Jared. Then I'm thinking like, you know, that's kind of funny, right? That might sell a stick. Like someone sees that, they're like, oh, Subway Jared, that's pretty funny. They end up buying it for the name bar. But then on the other hand, you know, with cancel culture now, I might get canceled for this, for like promoting Subway Jared, which I'm not really doing at all. It's a joke, right? But if you do cancel me, like whatever, I'll just go on like a worldwide McDonald's tour. I'm fine with that. I'll just go tour every McDonald's in the world, just eating double cheeseburgers, Big Macs, whatever, until I have a heart attack. Oh, God, now you're like, this guy is like saying, he's making heart attack jokes out here. Like, you're going to cancel me for sure. And you know what? Do it. Cancel me. I want to go on my McDonald's tour. I'll happily do that. Anyway, our Subway Jared sticks have the Spurgeon Pro Curve. Again, that's the stick we used for the mold. 1-to-1, identical. The things I did want to change, though, I changed to the super round shaft, candy cane grip. I did the 18K build versus Spurgeon's older style build. So it's lighter weight, better performing. You can see here, he uses that smaller weave, which is an old school build, versus our nice 18K top of the line, high performing build. And speaking of old builds, we got the Panarin stick here, 90 flex, square shaft, grip with no texture, pretty basic stick here. He's got the P19 curve here, same as Tarasenko, perfect mix of heel and the P92. And you can see this old twill weave he uses here. It used to be on older Reeboks and CCMs. We replaced that with the 18K, same curve, and we dropped the flex down to 77. Other than that, kept the same square shaft, kept the grip with no texture. Pretty good specs, but it just needed a couple tweaks. You know, lighter, higher performing build. Next up, Caulfield. Again, I don't have this curve yet, but I plan on possibly making it. He's got the 77 flex, intermediate 2N Pro XL build, and he's got the corner tactile with grip. Here's his curve. I know people want to see it. It's a CCM P40 that he added a little bit of toe hook to. The blade shape is still the exact same as the P40. We don't have the Caulfield, but we do have the Jimmy, the Tim Stützle Pro specs with the P14 retail curve, just like Stützle uses. If you look at these side by side, Caulfield's curve isn't all that different from the P14. The only real main difference is the blade shape. Caulfield has a lot more of a square toe. It's a little bit taller at the end, but overall, these are two very, very similar curves. These sticks are all available right now at ProStockHockeySticks.com. You can get these in 4 days. So if you order now, you can get it in 4 days, wherever you are. If you're in the States, if you're in Canada, if you're in Europe, you can get this stick, whatever your favorite player spec is, whatever your dream curve is, whatever your dream spec is, you can get it in 4 days. No need to wait for customs. We'll be restocking inventory every 2 weeks for the rest of the year, and that's only at www.ProStockHockeySticks.com. Pro Stock Hockey, emphasis on sticks.com.